Hello, Grattan.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just in the kitchen cooking right now.
I can see that from where I am watching television in the living room.
Yeah, I'm just working on my robot.
Ah, yes, I can see that from the guitar I'm playing.
Yeah, there's some popcorn in the microwave.
Yeah,
But
popcorns remind me of movies.
Yeah, but the microwave's not on.
Oh, you better put it on then.
Let me press the button on the microwave. Alright, where were we?
I was just talking about movies. Have you seen a movie called Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the popcorn.
I said, have you seen a movie called Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster?
Welcome back to Giant Monster Bullshit.
I'm Matt.
Hey, and we're talking about Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster today.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Now that we've had our fun, let's get down to business.
I've come to kill you.
You knew this was coming.
Okay, so before the movie starts, a boy has gone on a boat. The boat has crashed into like some rocks or something, and the boy's family is led to believe that he's dead. And this movie starts out with the mom of the missing boy talking to a psychic.
Yep, the perfect opening scene. They say, your opening shot should tell you everything about the movie.
That's what I've always heard.
Yes.
The brother of the missing boy
Yes.
gets fucking like school shooter eyes, and he's like, I have to get my brother back. And so he's like, I'm going to get a boat at all costs because the police won't send any more boats out to look for my brother.
Yeah.
So, conveniently, there's a dancing contest where it's who can ever dance the longest wins a boat.
Yep.
He goes there, presumably to talk to the winner of the contest, because the contest has already been underway for like a day or something.
3 days. They
3
said.
days?
Yeah, 3 days. He said you're 3 days too late.
Well, those guys, that recontextualizes the endurance of those people who are dancing for me.
Mm-hmm. They must have been sore the whole movie.
He goes there. There's a couple buffoons who
Yep.
become two of the main characters. Neither of them have much of a personality, but they're dancing. They've been dancing, and they finally give up, and they look at each other, and they're like, damn, I guess we're not getting that boat. And yeah, we're not getting that boat because we couldn't dance long enough, huh? And they meet up with this kid, and he's like, I need a boat. And they're like, okay, well, easy fix to that. We can go down to the docks and look at the boats.
Yeah. Well, just look.
Yeah, together, as strangers. So, they break into a fucking boat.
Yep.
They break into somebody's, like, private boat.
Yeah, they break into that boat. It was the boat that they were going to give away, right?
No, that was somebody's boat, because when they say on the radio later after they steal it, they say, like, it was like an American guy's boat, and they're like, it had just been remodeled, and it's been stolen from the harbor.
Yeah.
So they break into the boat. Somebody's already broken into the boat.
Yeah.
It's a thief.
With a gun.
A fake gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's acting like it's real. He's like, guys,
You can stick around, but
Yeah,
then
he's
you
like-
have to go.
he's like, what the hell are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're so sorry for breaking into your boat.
We
And
just thought it was so beautiful.
yeah, they say, our friend here is crazy about boats. And he goes, that's fine. You guys can spend the night in the boat, but in the morning you gotta leave. And they go, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's basically what happens. They wake up. The boy's brother has now stolen the boat.
Yep.
They're
and
on sea.
They are at sea.
So everybody's freaking out. Everybody has to be best buddies now.
Mm-hmm.
These 4 strangers. 2 of them know each other. That's it.
Yep.
So we've got this thief. We're given a little exposition via radio that
He
the
stole
thief
millions of yen.
he stole 4 million yen,
Yeah.
which is about like $12 US. Also the boat. So they're at sea. The boy's brother's the only one who knows how to drive the boat. They're about to get to this island. Unknowingly, a storm hits. Ebera, a giant lobster, attacks the boat. All 4 people wash up on the beach. They wake up the next day. They see that a Nazi organization called the Red Bamboo has been using slave labor
To make pee-pee.
to make pee-pee. So, let's talk about the pee-pee for a second.
Okay.
The pee-pee is a yellow liquid in the plot that we're
It
referring
is
to.
referred to as such, yellow liquid.
The red bamboo use it because it deters Ebera, who guards the island.
Yeah.
The red bamboo are using the island to create heavy water,
Yes.
which is used for nuclear bombs.
Yes.
And they're using slave labor not to create heavy water, but to create the pee-pee so that they can scare Ebera off to get to the island to make the heavy water to get that off the island.
Yes.
And
Simple.
yeah. So this is like a James Bond-ass
Yes. Very.
facility. Guys in lab coats and also guys with Nazi costumes on walking around.
Yep.
So the slaves are coming from an island. The slaves are Japanese people, painted brown yet again.
Oh boy, with little afros on them, you know?
Yeah, coconut bras and whatnot. And they come from Infant Island.
Yep.
And if you've been done have your ears on for a while, then you should know that's where Mothra's from. For some reason, the red bamboo didn't steal everybody off of Infant Island, even though the previous movies only make it seem like there's about 40 people.
Yeah, like a very small tribe of...
Anyway, they steal some people. They don't steal the fairies. Infant Island looks very different in this movie.
Yes.
But continuity still kind of holds up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, better than others.
So these people, our main cast meets a girl who is one of the escaped natives. Basically, some bullshit ensues. It's not even worth talking about really what happens.
It's really convoluted. We're kind of taking turns, you know. Basically, Godzilla's on the island. He's sleeping, hibernating.
I think he's just asleep in a cave.
Just asleep in a cave.
Deep sleep.
Yeah, deep sleep that he needs to be shocked out of. Long story short, they use a sword and some wire to wake up Godzilla with lightning.
Well, we've got the red bamboo knows about them on the island. They figure it out through little tricks and stuff. There's a group of rebels.
Right.
There's a group of rebels loose on the island. So our main cast is hiding out in a cave, the same cave that Godzilla's in. And then they decide, we'll wake up Godzilla so that the red bamboo won't look for us anymore because the red bamboo is really trying to kill them. Basically, they wake up Godzilla. Godzilla fights Ebera.
For a while.
The red bamboo sees that Godzilla's awake, and they're like, okay, we have to get all of our supplies, like all the stuff we've been making, off the island.
Right.
We have to get it off the island.
Oh!
And so they set their base to explode.
As you would, as it were.
Somewhere in there, the brother gets found and comes back to the island. That's not even
he
worth...
was on Infant Island.
It's not even worth going into. Just they find the brother, and then he becomes part of the cast, and then they're all on this one island. The nuclear bomb's about to go off.
Godzilla and Ebera fight again.
The natives switch the pee that they've been making with fake pee that won't really deter Ebera.
Nazis get killed.
Godzilla kills a bunch of Nazis, and then the fake pee makes Ebera kill the Nazis when they're trying to get away. The Infant Island slaves pray to Mothra for like the entire movie. Mothra finally wakes up at the very end, and they weave a
basket.
They weave a big basket out of fucking like tree branches.
Yeah.
And then all of the islanders get in that basket. Mothra comes and picks them up. There's a little scrimmage with Godzilla and Mothra at the end. Nothing too important. And then Mothra carries everybody off the island, and Godzilla jumps off before it explodes.
And then it ends.
Then it fucking ends.
Well, let's talk about this movie.
Okay.
Let's talk about... This is a pretty big tonal shift from a lot of the Godzilla we've been seeing so far.
Right. That's a good talking point.
Yeah. It's very... I'd say it's very of the 60s at this point. That Beach Boys style 60s, you know?
Yeah, this is
very
like
tropical.
The wacky 60s. This isn't like just... The last few movies that we've looked at, it's like, okay, yeah, you can tell these things were made in the 60s because this is how they made movies in the 60s.
Right.
But it's almost like this one's going out of its way to be like, hey, we're in the 60s. Here's like 100 people dancing in a room, just swinging their arms around. The music is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
The
Lots
music,
of surf guitar.
the music's fucking weird. There's a whole lot of like xylophone.
Yeah, little percussive bells.
It's really different than what we've been hearing up until this point.
Very.
And it's got a lighthearted tone despite like having darker subject matter than the last movie, I'd say.
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, you've got fucking like the aliens were trying to take over the world, and that's a little bit
Still like tongue in cheek, though.
that's broader. And here we have like basically Nazis making nukes and then
They're just like a
enslaving-
company. Yeah, enslaving like
Natives-
indigenous people.
and they're killing them in a very Nazi way. Like when they
Yeah.
escape, they're like trying to shoot them and like chase after them with like large groups of people. The more intimidating threat to the protagonist than, or like a more like a darker threat.
Yeah, just
You know,
like
it's
people
not-
that want to kill you.
It's not people in spacesuits with ray guns
Yeah.
anymore. It's people in Nazi costumes with machine guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, tonal shift's a good way to put it, but you can't really say up or down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though Godzilla, most people will tell you, yeah, Godzilla made the swap to good guy in those last two movies that we watched.
Yeah, but
But he's trying to kill people in this one. Like he's going out of his
Yeah.
way to kill people. He like fights a whole thing, a whole squad of airplanes.
yeah,
And at the very end, he's like gonna kill.
Mothra.
He's
And
gonna kill
all the
Mothra, and he's
people.
gonna kill all the good guys up
Yeah.
until that point too.
Just because he's like sees them.
And there's even a part in the movie where a character says like the thief guy says, "We can't wake up Godzilla. He'll want to kill everybody." And one of the
Right.
buffoons is like, "Nah, he wouldn't do that."
Yeah, I kind of got the sense. I was like, all right, this is the movie where we settle into friendly Godzilla.
No, he's kind of confused. Like they're still not even sure what he's.
Yeah,
He doesn't really do a whole. He kills the bad guys, but he just kills the bad guys because they're there, and he fights Ebera because Ebera's also there, not because they're a threat to the humans.
yeah, he's not trying to protect anybody. Ebra just like kind of pisses him off.
Yeah.
Kicks a rock at him.
Yeah, they have one of those bullshit rock throwing contests for like way too long in this one.
I'm getting fucking sick of those. I gotta say.
I remember it as
bouncing a rock back and forth. I don't know why that's like one of the first thing that comes to these fucking guys' minds when they're like, all right, what would two giant monsters fight like? You know?
Yeah, we'll get
well-
into it a little more later if we think about it, but Godzilla throws more rocks than he breathes fire in this one.
Yes.
And you'd think that like painting some blue on top of the frame would be easier than like stringing up a bunch of rocks and like
And also doing
choreographing.
optical effects like where they like they draw the rock on top moving.
Well, there's a lot of ones where like I guess they could be playing like reverse shots, but there's a lot of times where like the monsters will catch the rocks and then throw them
Yeah.
again. And I feel like that would be harder to choreograph with the guys being in suits and stuff than just having them open their mouths so they can draw on fire.
Yeah. I don't
It's
know.
really weird, and it continues to go on through the series. And I remember as a kid seeing the rocks being thrown is really not satisfying.
Not at all. It really to me feels like they're killing time.
Yeah, it's cheap because you on the covers to all of these you see lasers and
Yes.
fire and like action and lightning and all this shit. And then you get into the actual movie, and it's like, yeah, the movies can never live up to how cool the posters are.
Totally.
That's even true for the more recent, for the Millennium movies.
Yeah.
But it's really like you're not even trying when you're having them throw fucking styrofoam boulders at each other the whole movie.
Yeah, nothing like develops, like nothing's escalating in the fight. It's just like we sit still and watch them throw rocks at each other. There's nothing entertaining about it. It really does feel like filler to me.
And it hurts your suspension of disbelief because
because the physics aren't right.
that
at
too.
all.
But my thing is like you have these two giant monsters. So it's like, okay, they're gonna fight. They're gonna like hit each other and use all their powers against each other.
Right.
That's what these dumb giant monsters are going to do. And then all of a sudden they're like volleyballing.
Yeah.
Like they're playing. It's bullshit because it feels kind of playful when they're doing it too. But
Yeah.
like then they're like fighting. They're like actually fighting. Like Godzilla bites a fucking claw off.
Yeah.
At one point, it's like, why are you guys like throwing and catching rocks like you're tossing a ball around?
Right.
It's very weird and very unique to these fucking giant monster movies. There's like nothing I
Yeah.
can compare it to.
So yeah, let's talk about these fights a little bit, I guess, and now that we're on that subject.
Okay.
There's only
There's like
pretty much like 2 big ones, like monster fights.
there's like 3.
Do you want to include Mothra?
Yeah, I'm including
Okay.
Mothra if you just because there's not much
Yeah.
to go off of.
So, first one, as we were saying, the first one begins with a rock throwing contest, and then,
Then it just devolves into like hitting each other.
yeah, there's nothing really too exciting about it.
There's one shot where Godzilla breathes fire at Ebra, and Ebra goes like flying out of the water.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of steam around him.
That's one of the coolest shots during these fights.
Definitely. It makes sense.
Yeah, you would see this giant lobster stands no fucking chance against Godzilla.
Yes. If you didn't know, lobsters are hollow.
Yeah, like the
Godz-
Earth.
Yes, exactly. And Godzilla would have beaten this motherfucker's ass in like that,
Yeah.
And it would have been cool to see if like Godzilla just like punched a hole in Ebra. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
Better than what we got.
There's some weird underwater portions of both fights.
Yeah, sometimes the shots almost look good, and then
Sometimes the shots are actually underwater, and then they quickly transition to
like
a
lighting.
shot that's just lit the same.
Yeah.
It's all blue. You're right, they do almost look good, but it's like, yeah, it's cool that you can like make it look like it's underwater almost. But when they're punching each other and stuff, you can't feel any of it because it's all slowed down by the water.
Yeah.
Like, even the monsters aren't getting hurt by it, so it's like, well, what's going on?
Right.
You want to talk about that bird?
Oh, Jesus. I forgot about it again. I forgot that even happened, and it's one of those moments that like everybody talks about. I think, like James Rolfe would mention it
Yeah.
in his review. He probably did. It's like so weird. It comes out of nowhere. I think it's like right after Ebra and Godzilla have their first little skirmish, right? Or it's soon after
No,
that? Or is it before that?
It's after the first fight with Ebra, but Godzilla scares off the Nazis away from the island girl, and then he
just
sits
like sitting and
he sits down and takes a nap.
and he's just like looking at her too.
Well, yeah, he falls asleep looking at her.
Okay.
But he like closes his eyes, and then like the bird comes, and she starts screaming, remember?
Yeah.
And then he like opens his eyes, and it's the fucking bird.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth mentioning because it's so weird.
So fucking weird. It comes out of nowhere. It makes you think like, oh, maybe this island has like, I don't know, things are big
Like King Kong.
here. Yeah,
A
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. But no, it's just like Ebra, and then Godzilla like got there somehow.
Yeah.
Washed up and then slept there. This giant bird just comes out of nowhere, flies in on strings, and starts scratching at Godzilla's eyes with its talons.
And the whole shot, like the whole fight is shot
Close up.
from close up, and it's awful.
Yeah.
I'm sure a million people have said this, but it's worth mentioning because it is so weird. There's nothing.
It's super jarring. They don't mention. I don't think anybody mentions it. Like they don't
No.
even. Like none of the characters even go like, "Look, it's a giant bird."
Yeah.
They don't go, "Oh my god, a giant bird! What's that doing here?" Or I think I know where that giant bird came from.
Yeah, or that must be.
That must be that.
Yeah.
some type of acknowledgement. But it's almost surreal in that respect because they don't even like acknowledge that it's real.
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest parts of a weird movie.
Definitely, yeah.
Second fight with Ebra.
Not much difference with the first, except it ends with Godzilla. Godzilla gets a good like smacking from Ebra at one point. Ebra just kind of his head like comes up above the water, and Ebra kind of like smacks him with a claw.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny.
Godzilla gets the upper hand, and he
rips off both of Ebra's arms.
Well, he rips off one of his arms, and he just like bites off part of one of the claws. So yeah, Ebra's basically left. I didn't notice this on previous viewings, but he never kills Ebra.
Yeah, I don't know if we
Ebra
were supposed to assume that he died later or what.
Dies from his wounds.
Yeah, Ebra died gasping in pain.
But yeah, Ebra just swims away.
Yeah, really weird.
Before we get into the fight with Mothra, which we probably don't have much to say about anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mothra. We need to have the Mothra talk.
Yeah, we need to have this talk with y'all. Okay, so in this movie...
Well, let me just say a positive about this is that it lines up continuity-wise. I've been trying to pay attention.
Right.
The last time we see Mothra is in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster.
Yes.
And she is in her larva form.
quite.
And there's only one left because the other one died, I think. They said the other one didn't make it. Yeah. It's easy to assume that it just grew up, it cocooned, and is now the moth butterfly. And now it's on Infant Island with the Islanders. Right. So it lines up.
So that's good.
That's good.
Continuity is always a great achievement in these movies.
A lot of people don't give the Godzilla series, the original series, enough credit for the continuity. Because, I mean, people always give credit to the MCU.
Yeah.
For like any kind of cinematic universe that's trying to happen gets instantly compared to the MCU.
Totally.
You know, there was the Universal monster movies, I think, had some continuity between them, some kind of connected universe vaguely. Yeah. People really don't give Godzilla enough credit because it did that. Like, it did a big one. Like, this whole thing thus far has been
several movies,
continuous, including Rodan and Mothra.
Yep.
Fit into that continuity, and it's not squeaky clean because,
but it's there.
Yeah, it's there. If you want to draw the connections, like this character is here, this character ends up here in the next one, pretty consistent with like one or two exceptions, which could be explained with like some bullshit. It's pretty good for before anybody could pay attention to this shit.
Yeah, definitely.
It deserves some props. But now we got to talk about Mothra.
So, like you said, the Islanders on Infant Island spend pretty much the entire movie praying to Mothra, doing a dance.
Yeah, doing a lot of dances.
Down syndrome fairies.
Yeah, the fairies are played by different actresses.
Yeah.
And they appear to have Down syndrome.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah.
There's something about, like, the roundness of their faces.
They just look weird.
Yeah, like they have, an extra chromosome or two.
Chromosomes to spare.
Yeah, they've got enough for the whole class. But, yeah, everybody's dancing, bowing, and praying, and singing. We got two different Mothras here for most of the movie. One is a matte painting where Mothra looks a little wonky, a little
weird.
Yeah, her eyes aren't quite circular.
Kind of too crispy. Like she's got very defined hairs.
Yeah, it's it kind of looks like something like a local artist would do as like a mural or something. Like
yeah, definitely. It looks like it's on the side of a building almost.
Yeah, it's not a great matte painting. So that's weird enough, and that's one thing. It would be worth mentioning. That's a weird matte painting. It sticks out like a sore thumb. But then we cut to, in other shots, we cut to the Mothra suit.
Yeah, we'll call it the suit.
We'll call it the suit, even though there's not actually people in it ever. Just sitting down, it hasn't got the strings attached to it, and they've got it sitting up on a cliff. It's dusty, and I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Mothra didn't make it. Mothra got pneumonia or something, and she's been dead for a while.
To say that she looks dead in this is a gross understatement.
Okay.
I can't accurately describe, and I've tried, I have my notes here. I can't accurately describe how fucking dead she looks. How vacant of life this suit looks. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Dusty's a good word. Dirty. I wrote here in my notes that it looks like Mothra needs to be put in the washing machine.
Yeah.
Because she is fucking dirty and ragged, like she got ran through some mud and then it dried.
She could be like vacuumed or something.
Her eyes are like faded.
Yeah.
And like all the fur is in the wrong places, and she looks small.
Yeah.
She looks thin. Like compared to the other Mothras, she doesn't look healthy.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to describe to you guys without showing you a picture that this is one of the worst looking suits that we've seen in the series. It looks fucking lifeless.
I don't know if she's supposed to be like sleeping or something or what.
Yeah, she's supposed to be asleep because at the end her eyes do glow.
Yeah.
And she looks a little more lively, but she just looks so old.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's the same suit. If it is, then the shit they're making it with deteriorates fast.
Yeah.
Because I think the first Mothra movie was like 60 or 61. And this is 4 or 5. Yeah, this movie came out in 65. It's only been a handful of years, and if the suit looks that bad, it's no longer with us at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mothra's fucking dead. And this is a great opportunity if you're making fun of this movie with somebody. There's 1 million jokes to tell about Mothra being dead.
Yeah. And the natives worshiping her.
Yeah, they're trying to wake her up.
Yeah, like, come on, wake up, Mothra.
There's a couple shots of the fairies where they're kind of looking like, she's fucking dead, isn't she?
Yeah,
like the singing's not gonna wake her up, is it?
At one point, they're like, "Wake up, Mothra!" They like actually say that.
Yeah.
You know, and you can joke like, "Mothra's not gonna wake up."
Yeah.
Mothra went to sleep forever.
Yeah.
Mothra's in heaven now with God.
So.
Yeah, Mothra's very dead. That's the point. Very, 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 very dead.
So then she wakes up and fights Godzilla.
Yeah, some dust comes off of her when she gets up and flies.
So let's talk about this fight.
Yeah, so Mothra's just kind of coming. She doesn't really come looking for a fight, looking for a brawl.
It's a rescue mission.
Rescue mission is definitely, yes. She comes in and she's coming to pick up that basket, and they're still putting it together. All the people are running towards her, and they're like, no. They start fading away as they run towards her, too, as a faulty optical effect.
Okay, yeah, so what Matt's talking about, Mothra comes to the island and lands a little bit away from where the people are building the basket. The people are building a basket in the field. There's a composite shot.
Yes.
Where you have the shot of Mothra on the miniature set and the real people on the real set, and they've tried their darndest to blend it.
Yeah.
And they show the people running from the real shot to where Mothra is supposed to be, and as they do, they fade away because
they're running into the blended line.
Yeah, they're running into the
soft
fucking
opacity.
Yeah. They get over to Mothra, and the fairies are like, they say like, "Go to your basket.
Go back to the basket. Go back to the basket." And then Godzilla's like coming over the mountain.
Yeah, Godzilla's coming, and he's like, "Oh, I want to kill Mothra."
Yeah. And then Mothra as they're getting it together, Mothra kind of flies around. Godzilla breathes a line of fire at her.
Yeah.
And then she gets up, flies around, and then kind of smacks him with one of her wings.
Yeah, and what's honestly one of the better shots of Mothra fighting Godzilla, because usually it's just like she flies around.
Yeah.
She flies around and blows a bunch of dust.
Makes some noise.
Which she also does.
Yeah.
But hitting him with her wing, it would be like the only other attack that she has.
Yeah.
So that happens once here. Props to them.
Yeah.
Props to them for smashing two guys in suits together.
Yeah.
Or a guy in a suit against a
puppet.
Yeah. That's the fight.
Yeah, that's it. And
Mothra grabs that basket and flies off into the
sunset.
sunset.
Gets out of there.
With what are some of the worst visual effects up until this point. Somehow they do some like horrible blue screen that's aged like worse than like the blue screen in the other movies somehow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the version of the movie we watched.
We watched the version that's on these Kraken Blu-rays.
Yeah.
We watched, it's the first time in a while where we've been able to get a movie in Japanese with American subtitles.
American.
Yeah, American. I speak American, so the movie has to too. It's the first time in a while we've watched a movie that like looks like that isn't a fucking eyesore.
Yeah, this movie looks good.
Yeah, this movie looks good.
It's what I wish all of these could look like.
Definitely.
I mean, you're always going to be able to tell how old the movie is.
Yeah.
But you can scan the movies and get them a little clearer, and that's just what they did with these. And it's a damn shame that they haven't like done this for like Rodan and others. Rodan and others.
Not only would it make this podcast less of a chore at times when watching the movie, but it would just be better. It'd make the movie more enjoyable in general. Just if you
and I'd like to have a uniform set of these.
Yeah, these are all...
Quality is not one thing that I have to worry about, because these things are scattered all across the fucking world.
Land, yeah.
The Godzilla series is like 32 movies, something like that?
I believe.
And if you want to watch all of them, you're going to have to go to about like 28 different sources.
Yeah. If you can even get some of them from those sources. eBay's going to be a big one for you.
I have as many as I can on Blu-ray.
Right.
And there's I want to say 4 that you can only get on DVD. and those DVDs are overpriced and all kinds of fucking problems. And then the anime movies, which are garbage, are only available on Netflix. Yeah. Spoiler alert. Nobody likes those, so I feel I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything by saying those are awful. Nobody likes those. My point is, there's no one place to get all these.
Yeah.
And the quality reflects that.
Yep. It is very much
but this one was nice.
Peaks and valleys.
I like being able to put in my newish copy.
Yep.
And it shows me the nice menu. The menu works. You can select the Japanese 5.1.
You've got more than 2 options.
Yeah. And you can just play the movie.
Yep.
And it looks okay.
You can see everything, you don't think I'm getting really sad looking at this. Yeah.
Last episode, we didn't really talk about it because we enjoyed the movie, but streaming off Amazon Prime.
It's so awful. It's
not
like
our being in hell.
It's not our internet because Netflix does okay.
That's what hell looks like.
Yeah.
When you get to hell, the blacks look crunchy.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the sections of the screen that are that have the color black.
Yeah.
Are all like pixelated somehow.
Yeah, the color black is usually like, well, it's kind of gray, but here we'll put in about 4 blocks of actual black here.
Yeah, we'll just break it up like a fucking puzzle or something.
Yep.
I liked watching the sub.
Yeah.
Subman.
Let's talk about the island.
I almost forgot about the island.
The whole thing takes place on an island, basically.
I know, and
if you want to include Japan as an island.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That is, that is put into perspective all the shit I've been saying.
Yeah.
Okay, island talk. I don't know what the fuck this island's called. I didn't do my job.
What's the name of the island, Grattan?
Lecce Island.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm glad you noticed. I'm glad you noticed that while we were watching the movie.
Holy shit. Dude, I just stumbled upon the fucking jackpot for me.
What?
There's a list on Wikipedia of all the fictional islands in the Godzilla series.
Ooh.
I know. And it's got a nice little paragraph about this. Anyway.
Did you make that?
A fan of mine might have. Anyway, so this island, it's another situation where I don't really have a problem with there being an island because it's got a lot of adventure elements.
Yeah, totally.
We've got a main cast of characters who's more like a fucking Scooby-Doo gang, and the bad guys are more like Indiana Jones / James Bond bad guys.
Yeah.
So the island feels right at home with those elements.
Totally, yeah.
So I can't really...
And they commit to the island too, like they introduce it, like they have like a process of getting there. They don't just go.
And the island is guarded by Ebra, like they make that
like a thing.
Yeah, they make that concrete. I thought the island was fine.
Yeah.
The only real problem I have with it is just that even up until this point, we're not even halfway through the Showa series, we've seen this landscape done so many times that I can't. It's really hard to be interested in it, and we'll continue to see it. It's just hills, and I think it was probably just because it's the easiest to replicate on a miniature scale.
Yeah.
Just mountains. You put some trees and some fucking fake grass and, styrofoam boulders, and there's your fucking island.
Yeah.
And we're there the whole movie. A pretty natural part of the plot, I'd say.
Speaking of the plot, plot's pretty different for this movie as well. We don't really have any scientists or anything. Or news people.
We do start out at a newspaper place.
Oh, fuck, we do.
I remember the guy from King Kong vs. Godzilla who says,
"You're not Tarzan.
You're not Tarzan." Never bothered to learn his name, but I remember that line like the back of my hand. He's in this movie for about 1.5 seconds.
Yep.
And he's working at a newspaper.
Yep, and his editor looks familiar. I can't remember.
I would probably be able to tell you where he's from if I was paying attention.
But yeah, this plot's nice and different
for a Godzilla movie.
For Godzilla movies, yeah. It's just a nice, I don't know, it's just a very different way of getting to the monster fights and all that. There's no national emergency. We got a nice break of like people in the city running away from Godzilla.
Yeah, you're right. This is kind of I've never thought about it, but it is the first appearance in the Godzilla series where it's not a big deal that he's there.
Yeah.
It's not consequential because he's on the island, not on Japan.
Yeah, it's kind of strange in that sense. It kind of sticks out a little to me.
There's a couple, at least one more where it also happens.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. It's like really unusual just to have Godzilla on an island for like a whole movie.
Yeah,
You know?
it takes away from the scale of what Godzilla's supposed to be.
Yeah.
He doesn't really feel like a big deal here, so it's like even more goofy.
Totally.
There's a couple shots in the movie where you can see the fucking dude's face poking out of the Godzilla suit.
His nose or something.
Which is like the first movie I've ever noticed that in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the returning characters.
Serizawa's back.
Returning actors, yeah.
Yeah.
They've got the guy who played Serizawa, and they've got the fucking balls to put him in another eye patch.
Yeah, a Nazi eye patch.
He's got, I was thinking, I recently got over like an eye infection or something. But I was thinking, if I had lost my eye to that unfortunate set of circumstances, I would want that eye patch.
That'd be a good one.
He's got like a cool, like scary eye patch.
You'd want to be scary.
I don't know. It's just like it's got like a design on it, some kind of like militant
crest or something,
oriental design.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's just dressed like a Nazi, but he's got an eye patch. He looks super evil in this movie.
Totally. He's kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the bad guy of our movie.
It's nice and different from Serizawa, though, the character.
Absolutely.
Great range.
Yeah.
From this guy. So yeah, Serizawa's back. Like we said, You're Not Tarzan Man is back.
For a moment.
For a moment. And also another great and recognizable face that's back for a moment is
Well, we haven't seen him yet.
Oh,
in the
shit.
Podcast.
Shit. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Don't listen to that part. Close your ears.
Rewind it and forget it.
Rewind it. And then cover your ears.
The Dr. Serizawa's boss is in this, like, or Dr. Serizawa's boss in this is a returning character. He's played like, I think he played like the editor of the newspaper in Godzilla vs. Mothra, and he also played a general in King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff here.
Very, very, very. It is interesting how there's something special about the Godzilla franchise, like these actors returning.
Yeah.
Like in any other franchise, these actors like kind of like wouldn't fucking matter. Like, you know, like the characters.
We've talked about it a little before, but it is weird that they are having the same actors come back.
Yeah.
Playing completely different characters each time. It's
in
like
the same continuity.
Yeah. In the same continuity. In these universes, there's like 6 different people who are the same person but are different people.
Yes.
It is weird, but it's also kind of cool.
It is cool. Yeah, it's very unique. But it's just so weird. I don't know. I think get the feeling.
Yeah, this is Jun Fukuda.
Yeah.
Did this, and he's done more than just this one. I can't remember, but it's the first one in a minute that hasn't been directed by Ishiro Honda. And it really shows stylistically. This is not something that Ishiro Honda would do. Like,
it's got a little bit more flair to it. It's definitely less locked down in the way that a lot of these earlier ones were.
In looking at the original Mothra, which was directed by Ishiro Honda, there were a lot of like kind of artistic shots. In that one, we remarked about how the editing was better than normal, or not the editing, the cinematography was better than normal. And there were some really cool ways that they shot the fairies. And in this one, the fairies are not shot in very interesting ways. There's a couple composite shots where they try to put them in the same place, and they almost pull it off.
Yeah, they put them in like sand, which is like an awful place to composite something.
But in the original Mothra, they show the people worshiping Mothra.
Yeah.
And they show it in a very different setting. They're in a cave, and all the people are dancing, and then you have like an actual... They don't have a matte painting. They have like an actual Mothra larva like moving around as they do it. And in this one, you have like the matte painting shot, the separate shot of Mothra, and then you have all these like weird angular shots of people dancing, like they're shooting them like at Dutch angles and stuff, and like moving. So just stylistically, 2 different, and besides that, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference between these. But, you know, with the tone and everything, it definitely feel separate than the last couple movies that we've watched.
Yeah, to me, I got the sense that they were much less. This one was much less of a studio product as these other ones were. I'd say, you know, the ones with King Ghidorah, we're kind of getting away from that already, you know. But this one really is just like, I don't know. It feels much less like a business venture than the other ones do to me. If that makes sense.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true, that this was originally going to be a King Kong movie.
If someone confirmed that this was like supposed to be another movie in any sense before it was a Godzilla movie, absolutely believable.
Yeah.
Just because it's strange. It seems like there is a sense that Godzilla was inserted into this at some point.
Definitely.
Because it's really not like about him like a lot of the other movies are.
Well, the last two haven't really been about him either.
Yeah, but they like, I don't know. This one, he doesn't really feel tied down to any of it in the way that he does in the other ones. I don't know. It's really hard to describe, but I definitely get the sense that is the case.
I think what you're saying makes sense, because even though he wasn't like a huge part in the plot of the last two, it was kind of central around Japan.
Yeah.
And Godzilla really feels at home in Japan. Like,
totally.
He always feels like it makes sense when like Godzilla is doing things in the heart of Japan, like in Tokyo and stuff. And here, since he's on an island, it really feels like he could just be interchanged with any monster.
Yes.
Even an original monster.
Totally.
And it would still not change anything.
Yeah. Very strange. And it's not like a really wacky sort of strange feeling that this movie gives you. It's just a little off.
Yeah.
In some places.
Just because this is probably the last time we're going to get to talk about this movie, I have a couple more notes that I haven't gotten to.
Oh my god.
We have what I believe is the fourth It's Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
They see Godzilla and they say, "It's Godzilla."
Yeah.
And just like the previous 3 times when I've mentioned this, it's super interesting that they say this. And the last little bit I wanted to get into is they tried really hard on these miniatures in a way that they haven't done ever.
Yes.
And in particular, the people.
And the people.
Yeah, well, it's always people on boats.
Yeah. There's a part when we first see the island Nazis and these 2 natives get away, and I guess they had like a little rowboat waiting for them.
Yeah.
And they get into it and they start rowing away. And, they get intercepted by Ebera when they're, like, in the same shot as Ebera, this little boat. They have a little miniature boat that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And then they have little guys in there, and they're not just sitting there like a couple Barbie dolls. They got some type of mechanism that's making these guys, like, turn oars or something. You know, they're just kind of jerking.
Some kind of motorized thing that's making them move.
Yeah, it's not entirely convincing. They still look a little bit stiff.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
But
50 years later.
But it definitely is like, thank you so much for trying.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, dude. Like, I genuinely do.
And there's a couple shots. It might be that shot, honestly, where it's when what's his face and his brother are coming back to the island.
Yeah, that's a trick they use there as well.
Yeah, it's basically the same. They have like a boat that looks identical, and then they have the characters in there. But for these miniature shots, they have like very accurate miniature versions of themselves. In these movies, you'll notice that when they try to pull off tiny people, they'll do it with the Mothra fairies, and sometimes they'll do it when like King Kong's grabbing somebody.
Yeah.
But they'll just fucking slap a wig on a Barbie doll and call it a fucking day.
Yeah, sometimes they kind of try to hide it from you. They're like, no, just do it real quick. Just do it real quick, It's
so fucking awful. And in this one, they've got like the clothes, like the detail on the clothes and the length of hair is like very accurate. And in the quick shots, when like you get a really quick shot of them in the same shot as Ebera, when it's going by quick, it almost looks good.
Yeah.
If they had shortened those shots and shot from different angles, it could hold up a little better than it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is. I appreciate them for trying.
Yeah, it really is. It just, I don't know. It brings me in a little more just to know that they're like, all right, let's try and make these guys move,
Yeah. And some of the shots when they're rowing, it's like they really got down like the rowing motion kind of right.
Yeah,
it's like they're not
it's
just
so minute too. It's like
yeah,
and it's got to be fucking small, like the size of a Barbie doll, if not smaller, because they're in the same shot as like Ebra and shit, you know, as these monsters. So you know they're about as big, a little bit bigger than people.
Yeah,
you know, these suits. So like yeah, they're the size of like Barbie dolls, and they've got like pretty tiny little motions.
That's all I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Would you like to get into your Don Fry ideas?
I'd love to. Not a whole lot wrong with this movie, I would say. Fights are pretty lame. I'd say that's probably the worst part of it. I think those the rock volleys get on my nerves because I've seen them over and over again. But if I was just like throwing this in, you know, to make fun of, you know, and I hadn't seen a Godzilla movie in like a month, it'd be tolerable. Not that it's intolerable here, but you know, it'd be less of an issue. But like I was saying, there's not really a whole lot that annoys me. There's a good shot that I like. You know, everything's like nice to all right to look at, you know. But there's a shot that I like a couple times when it's like raining, and Ebra like sticks his like claw, his big claw, out of the water, like in the rain, out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's like at the beginning. It looks all right. You know, it looks like it's kind of a cool, I don't know, like for a second I almost feel the scale.
Yeah.
In some ways with this little miniature yacht or whatever that they're in, you know, like the claw comes up in front of it. But yeah, the movie's nice to look at. There's nothing really wrong there. Plot's fine. We move along at an all right pace. Nothing overstays its welcome. Nothing really gets on my nerves. This is a great one to make fun of. It's not like the best, but you could have some fun with a friend. You slap this in and you know, Mothra's dead. There's pretty funny stuff in there. There's pee-pee.
Yeah.
Haha, pee-pee poo-poo. So, all right to watch as a real movie. All right to make fun of. I'm going to give this one like 6.5 to a 7.
Okay.
Don Fries. Positive, but moderate. You know. That's where I'm sticking. What about you?
Now, I don't hate I want to preface my score before... I just want to preface my score. I don't hate this movie.
Uh-oh.
I don't hate this movie, but I think if I did, I don't think anybody would be willing to fight me on this.
Yeah, well,
I think
don't know how sure you are about that.
You really fucking like this movie.
Yeah, I'm getting like offended.
You like really like this movie.
Yeah. You're like, I don't hate this movie. I'm like, oh, really? You don't hate it?
Yeah.
Yeah, neither do I, dude. What are you going to say?
But this one isn't... I wouldn't call this one an underrated one. Some of the ones that we've talked about, I've taken a pretty strong stance on, like, this is underrated. People don't give this enough attention. People give too much attention to this. But this isn't one that people love too much, and this isn't one that people defend too much.
And people don't really wrongfully hate on this one either.
No, it's pretty... People look at this one the way that it should be.
Nice and moderate.
But this movie to me feels really just kind of a requirement. Because this isn't what you wanted to watch Godzilla for.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And if you're watching the whole series, this is just another necessary step. Like, you gotta watch this one at some point. You just gotta see what it's about.
Yeah.
But this movie just feels so been there, done that. Even though it's a little weird, we've pointed out how it's different than what we've seen so far in the Godzilla series, but it's got elements of other Toho kaiju movies to the point where I've really every element of this, I feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
Yeah.
And
I see that.
It just doesn't have much new to offer at all, really. And I'll agree with you that it is a great movie to make fun of. If you want to sit down, and I mean, a couple years ago when we were just kind of watching these things for fun, you know, when you'd come over at some point and we'd just sit down and put one of these things in, this is the perfect movie for that.
Yeah.
That is this movie's place as a film now.
Yeah.
Today, in 2019, it's a movie that you put in and sit down and make fun of it.
Totally.
Outside of that, it has very little to offer. It's just kind of goofy. It's got all these little quirks of a Toho Godzilla movie, but really nothing special. I didn't hate this movie. I didn't have a bad time watching it tonight at all.
Yeah.
It was not a miserable experience. I didn't check my watch one time.
We were making fun of it a little bit.
We were, but we weren't. We've made fun of movies harder while doing that last movie especially.
When we really like unload on a movie and start making fun of it, we're basically not watching the movie.
Right, yeah.
You know? Stuff like Bad Ben and, you know, King Kong versus Godzilla or King Kong Escapes. We're kind of making up our own movie in our heads a lot of the time. You know, just with jokes and shit.
But this movie, it doesn't have anything to offer. I'm not enjoying Godzilla when I'm watching this. Godzilla's not terrorizing people. He's not blowing up buildings. He's not saving the planet.
He stomps on a few structures.
Yeah, he stomps on that base a little bit, but that's not... some pipes on the ground is not what I've signed up for.
That's not like destruction.
No. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I enjoyed it when I was watching it, but I'm gonna have to give this movie a 4.
Really? Oh,
and that I wanted to preface it with I don't hate this movie, and it's all about, you know, I've said before, this is an abstract number that I'm giving it.
Yeah.
This is 4, and I'd say just that, like, if you don't give a fuck what order you're watching these movies in, go ahead and just throw this on whenever you want, but it's definitely not the first one you need to get around to watching.
Yeah.
And I think if you were trying to introduce somebody to Godzilla and you showed them this movie, it would be a big turnoff. Yeah, a 4 feels right. There's a ton of Godzilla movies, and I've got to save the bigger numbers for ones that I enjoy, and there are plenty of those. So I feel like I have to give it a 4.
Okay. Before we go, I just want to mention there's kind of like a bullshit nuclear message at the very tail end of this.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so they, you know, basically these guys on the island, the island Nazis, you know, were involved in nukes. They were just manufacturing a component of nukes, and they also had a reactor on the island, so they were using nuclear power. And at the very end, one of our dancing boys says, like, now they don't have nukes, but people all over the world have nukes. Nukes are bad, you know. But then they kind of like, there was like a joke earlier in the movie where that guy told the thief that he sounded like a politician or something, and then the thief says that back to him. So that echo of nuclear message is still kind of coming.
Fucking brought it back from the fucking dead after like no mention for a couple movies. Yeah, I mean, we've harped on that.
I'm sure you guys feel like you're about to throw up at this point.
Yeah, you guys might have turned it off by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, to say that feels forced is doesn't quite describe.
Yeah, it's just another fucking weird thing about this movie.
Yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense. You want to know what movie we'll be watching next week?
What?
We're going to be watching the original King Kong. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to step into my taxi cab and drive away.
Goodbye, Grattan. I'm here on the city street waving goodbye as you get into your taxi cab and close the door. And now you're driving away, and you're also waving at me.
Bye.
Goodbye. Well, I guess I'll go back to my 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in upstate New York, in downtown New York City. And I'm home now. I've unlocked the door and I'm walking in. And oh, hi, Grattan. I didn't know you were here. You're not Grattan.
Chuck E. Cheese sends his regards.
Fuck!